The United States Air Force has made clear that the B-21 Raider is not just another aircraft but the very foundation of its future bomber fleet, and the number that appears consistently in official plans is, at least 100. This figure carries enormous weight because it is not only a production target but also a statement of intent about how the United States envisions power projection in an era of renewed great power competition. For decades, the American bomber fleet has relied on a mix of B-52s, B-1s, and B-2s, each with unique strengths and weaknesses. The B-2 Spirit, famous for its stealth and long-range capabilities, is now showing its age and is extremely expensive to maintain. The B-1B Lancer, once a symbol of Cold War flexibility, has been pushed to its limits by decades of continuous use. Even the venerable B-52, though still capable after upgrades, is not survivable in the face of modern integrated air defenses. Into this gap steps the B-21, a stealth platform designed from the start for the era of advanced radar networks, long-range precision missiles, and contested skies. Its very shape and systems are built to penetrate airspaces that would be inaccessible to legacy bombers, providing both conventional strike and nuclear deterrence options. The Air Force describes it as the backbone of the bomber force, emphasizing how one aircraft type, produced in meaningful numbers, can transform global strike posture. Unlike its predecessors, the Raider is designed to be more maintainable and sustainable, with modular systems that can be upgraded throughout its lifespan, ensuring it does not become obsolete as quickly as the aircraft it replaces. This flexibility is crucial, because in the modern security environment, technology evolves rapidly, and a platform must adapt to new threats. The figure of 100 is not arbitrary. It represents a balance between capability and affordability, between strategic necessity and political reality. Too few aircraft would leave the United States vulnerable, unable to sustain high-intensity operations while also maintaining nuclear deterrence. Too many would be politically unfeasible given the massive costs of defense procurement. The number reflects an attempt to ensure that America has enough stealth bombers to cover multiple theaters at once while still being able to rotate aircraft through maintenance cycles. Each B-21 can strike targets deep inside defended territory, carrying both precision-guided conventional munitions and nuclear weapons if required, thus providing flexibility that no other single platform can match. By fielding 100 of them, the Air Force ensures that there is not just a niche capability for rare missions but a core force that can be used consistently, integrated into joint operations, and relied upon as a strategic deterrent. It is a signal to adversaries that no matter how advanced their defenses become, the United States will retain the ability to reach any target, anywhere, anytime. If the number is about building a foundation, the doctrine behind it is about transformation. With 100 B-21s, the Air Force's doctrine shifts from a model of rare, almost boutique stealth strikes to one of sustained, large-scale operations. The B-2 was capable but limited by small fleet size, meaning its use was restricted to the highest value targets. The B-21, by contrast, is meant to be deployed in larger numbers, enabling waves of stealthy aircraft to penetrate contested airspace, destroy key nodes, and open corridors for other forces. This changes the way commanders think about air campaigns. Instead of risking dozens of non-stealth aircraft with heavy escort packages, planners could rely on squadrons of raiders to dismantle enemy defenses at the outset. The basing strategy reflects this shift. The Air Force has already announced bases where B-21s will operate, spreading them across the continental United States for both survivability and training. Each base becomes not just a home for a new aircraft but a node in a global network of deterrence, projecting power far beyond its runways. Training pipelines, maintenance facilities, and operational planning will all adapt to this new backbone force. The doctrine also emphasizes flexibility in deployment. B-21s could fly from U.S. soil directly to targets across the globe or operate from forward bases if circumstances demand, giving commanders multiple options. This adaptability ensures that the 100 Raiders are not just a static fleet but a dynamic tool of deterrence and combat power. Politically, the number symbolizes more than just a procurement program, it reflects a statement of will. In an era when adversaries are developing hypersonic weapons, advanced air defenses, and long-range strike systems of their own, the B-21 demonstrates that the United States is prepared to invest in maintaining strategic superiority. The shift in doctrine that comes with these aircraft reinforces the message: the U.S. will not only maintain deterrence but also retain the ability to impose costs on any aggressor, regardless of geography. Thus, The plan for 100 B-21s is both a technological leap and a strategic commitment, ensuring that the Air Force's bomber fleet is not only relevant but decisive in future conflicts. Reports indicate that the company has been spending more in the near term to resolve issues and build a more stable foundation for future production, a decision that will hopefully lower costs over time but raises the price in the immediate term. For the Pentagon, this reality creates a tension between the urgent need for new bombers and the financial discipline required to avoid overruns. The Air Force has budgeted for at least 100 aircraft, but every step of the production process involves trade-offs. Suppliers must meet strict tolerances for stealth materials, electronics, and avionics. Workforce training is another hurdle, as building a stealth bomber requires specialized skills that cannot be developed overnight. These challenges slow down output, but rushing could jeopardize quality and performance. In the broader context of defense procurement, the B-21's cost structure is under scrutiny because every dollar spent on it is a dollar not spent elsewhere. Advocates argue that the aircraft's unique ability to penetrate advanced air defenses justifies the expense, while skeptics warn that rising costs could reduce the final fleet size. The industrial base is also a factor, as Northrop Grumman and its partners are expected to keep production going for years, ensuring not just the creation of the fleet but its sustainment for decades. This means investing in spare parts, software updates, and continuous modernization. The B-21 is not just an aircraft, it is a long-term ecosystem that requires ongoing funding and commitment. The discussion naturally leads to the central question: is 100 enough? Analysts, think tanks, and even some within the Air Force have debated whether the planned number of raiders is sufficient for the strategic environment the United States faces. Advocates for a larger fleet argue that the rise of near-peer competitors like China and Russia demands greater numbers. If the Air Force intends to sustain operations in multiple theaters simultaneously, 100 stealth bombers may not provide the necessary depth. Consider the demands of a prolonged conflict. A portion of the fleet will always be in maintenance, some will be held in reserve for nuclear deterrence, and others will be deployed forward. That leaves fewer aircraft available for day-to-day operations. In such a scenario, even a force of 100 might be stretched thin. Those who argue that the fleet should be expanded to 145 or even 200 emphasize that a larger number would provide both deterrence and flexibility. With more aircraft, the Air Force could afford to lose some to combat or attrition without crippling its operational capability. It would also send a stronger message to adversaries that the United States is not only committed to maintaining superiority but also prepared to fight and sustain a conflict if necessary. However, the counter-argument is powerful. Scaling up production beyond the current plan would strain budgets, require further expansion of the industrial base, and increase long-term sustainment costs. Lawmakers in the Department of Defense must weigh whether the strategic benefit of additional bombers justifies the expense in an era of competing priorities, such as cyber defense, space capabilities, and modernization of other aircraft fleets. Ultimately, the decision about whether 100 B-21s are enough is not only about military capability but also about political will and fiscal reality. The Air Force must make its case to Congress year after year, defending the program against budget pressures while pointing to its importance in the overall force design. If costs remain under control and production stabilizes, momentum could build toward expanding the fleet. If problems arise, critics may push for cuts or caps. The future size of the fleet will reflect both the success of the industrial effort and the intensity of the strategic competition ahead. What is clear, however, is that the number itself carries symbolic weight. 100 is more than a round figure, it is a signal of intent, a benchmark against which allies and adversaries alike measure American resolve. Whether it ultimately remains the cap or becomes the foundation for an even larger force, the B-21 program will shape the future of air power and strategic deterrence for decades to come.